This week's episode of Still Untitled is brought to you by Google's Cloud Platform. Looking to move to the cloud? Check out Google's Cloud Platform's weekly podcast, where Google developer advocates answer questions, get in the weeds, and talk to experts, customers, and partners about GCP. Learn more and subscribe to the podcast at g.co/GCP podcast. Once again, that's g.co/GCP podcast. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
It's
Happy Monday.
Monday after the Oscars.
Oh. Yes, we had a lovely Oscar party last night. We had a ball. We had popcorn.
I saw that you won some type of Oscars bingo.
I won Oscar bingo. There were categories. There were some fun categories.
A jet ski appears on stage.
Oscar bingo.
I don't think anyone anticipated that.
The jet ski was great.
I haven't slept yet. I was up all night just partying, celebrating. I couldn't get enough.
You got a VIP access to the red carpet
I was just there.
So we had bingo, which my friend Jessica put together, and here were some of the categories.
Oh boy.
Cut to crying spouse during acceptance speech. Woody Allen mentioned by name. Mom brought as +1. Lady in a tuxedo. Publicist in memoriam. Crying speech. Russia joke. Trump associate. Stare at the statue. Tripping on the stairs. Shot of ungracious loser. A thing that did not happen last night.
That's nice.
Mel Gibson. Another thing that didn't happen. Mention pet cause in speech. Dedicate award to dead person. Matt Damon.
Fucking Matt
Yeah,
Damon.
most of those actually
Yeah.
happened.
Selfie. Camera cuts to joke subject. Fish sex joke. We had a dispute about this, but it was decided by the House that there was not a fish sex joke.
So as is my tradition post birth of my child, I vacate the house on Oscar day around the time the red carpet stuff starts, so that Gina can
Enjoy it.
can bathe in it
Nice.
without any chance of distraction.
Yeah.
So I saw Peter Rabbit instead of watching the Oscars yesterday, and I don't encourage anybody to do that.
To do the full operation or just to see Peter Rabbit?
No, it's nice to get, like, if one person is more invested in the whole, the soiree.
Yeah.
It's nice to vacate, I think. But Peter Rabbit,
that's-
I would say, is probably a hard miss if you have any affinity for Peter Rabbit.
Well, I enjoyed the Oscars last night. You know, it is often a grind, and this year was no difference. But at the same time, a lot of great stuff was deservedly awarded for its excellence.
Looking at the list of winners, I have very few complaints, which is unusual.
Isn't it? I mean, leading up to the Oscars the past couple of years, you have all these math models you see on like 538, and even I think New York Times did one of like statistical models leading up for the anticipation. And so isn't it almost like you're watching just to see if the model's wrong?
Except that this year, apparently, there was a bunch of writing about how the Best Picture category was really, really hard to predict this year.
Well, so first, it's been hard to predict since they started having up to 10
right?
entrants.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Second, over the last 2 or 3 years, they've dramatically increased the number of voting members of the Academy.
Yeah.
Bringing in a lot more youthful and diverse crowd.
That's good, because I read some excerpts of Academy voters and their commentary on films.
Yeah.
Including things like, I really liked Get Out, but when I was watching interviews and saw Jordan Peele pull the race card, I thought that was overdoing it.
What? Did they watch the same movie?
No. This is an Academy voter, too.
How many? There's like, what, 3,000 or 4,000 Academy voters or something?
Idea.
I don't know.
It's a
I mean,
close
as an
guarded
institution, it is just, I don't think any more valid than, the SAG Awards or Independent Spirit Awards. It's just the one that's the most well known.
Well, they've been doing it for 90 years, and the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is like, I mean, they're movies.
Now, I know you didn't see this because you didn't watch it, but Adam, did you see the commercial for the museum? That was the riff on The Shining.
Yes. So here's what happened. We're fast forwarding through
The commercials, yes.
To the commercials, and I see a bunch of
Stealing
shots.
TV, Adam.
I
You're
see
stealing TV.
DVR. I see a bunch of shots clearly from The Shining, and I go, "Hey, Jessica, can we rewind and watch this?" And my wife was like, "Are you gonna make us watch a commercial during this? I'm not sure this is a good idea."
We did
and
the
I'm
same
like,
thing.
I'm sorry, but I think I actually didn't even respond. I was like, "It's already happening. It's starting. I don't need to have this argument because we're about to watch something from The Shining," and it turned out to be for
The Academy Museum
Yeah.
that they're opening. Yeah,
that
awesome.
was really cool.
No,
Is it
super
is
cool.
is it at the same site as like Lakshman and all that stuff, or is it someplace
I
else?
think it's that new museum that they're opening right
I
next door
believe
to
the
LACMA.
building in which we covered Deborah Naduman Landis's costume exhibit. Yes.
Awesome. That's
is
rad.
the site of the new Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences
Yeah.
museum.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. And, look, if they want some Shining props, I might be able to help them out.
They know who to call.
They forked over a pretty penny for some 2001 props.
Did they?
Well, that the lander, right? I think that was them that they bought it.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I'm very excited about
Yeah,
that.
no, that's really cool. And so it was like, we got to the end of the commercial, and someone who did not realize that my wife and I were having that discussion was like, wow, that was really worth watching.
Instant
It's like,
validation.
I couldn't have scripted this any better.
And how was the couch last night, Adam?
Yeah, it was really fun to watch the Oscars, especially the force of nature that is Frances McDormand. God, I love her. I love her.
Was that the first time she won?
I don't think so.
This is no. I think she's won before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it possible she won for Marge Gunderson in Fargo?
I'll look right now while you guys
Okay.
I
continue
believe
talking.
that's the case.
I believe that is the case. Damn, she is such an awesome human, such a great actress, and so forthright and intelligent. Oh my God, I want to meet her just so that we could have a disagreement, and I'll be wrong. Like that's the degree to which I want her approval.
Inclusion writers.
What's that?
Inclusion
writers.
Yeah.
Also, I think my favorite moment last night was Best Picture. They Faye Dunaway and Maureen Beatty announced that it is A Shape of Water,
Spoiler.
and Guillermo comes up on stage, gets the
he
envelope,
looked at it.
and holds it, looks at it, and turns to the camera and goes, "It is Shape of Water."
Well, so somebody, I want to say Laura Hall on my Twitter feed, who's a game designer in Portland, had tweeted a picture of the envelope and was like, look, they fixed the graphic design problem that made that, like, there were multiple things that compounded the mistake last year.
right.
But one of them was that it was designed to be pretty and not to be legible. Like the actual envelopes, you couldn't, like, it didn't have in big letters what the category was. It was just a small line along the bottom or something like that. And this year, it was like some big ass, like 40-point for Futura Best Picture on the outside of the envelope.
Big enough for old people.
Yeah.
Do they air the science and technical Emmys?
Oscars, you mean?
The Oscars, sorry.
You know what? I don't know, but I suspect, in the same way that the Creative Arts Emmys, the Schmemmys that I have gone to, is cut down to like 75 minutes and aired during the daytime on some.
Yeah, for the Oscars, it's barely acknowledged. You have like one shot of Patrick Stewart and some of the recipients.
So it's not something I've looked up.
She won for Fargo, too.
She did one for Fargo. Good. Good. She deserved that, too.
I mean, so one of the things that Gina and I were talking about, because she gives me the rundown afterwards after we tucked the kiddo into bed and I watched the last few minutes, is that last year there were so many incredible performances by women like over the age of 50.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Holly Hunter in The Big Sick, I don't know if you saw that, but like she was unbelievable in that movie.
Phenomenal. Yep.
Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards was unlike she's ever been before, I think. And yeah, like it was good. It was good all the way around.
Yep.
The thing I also like is the clips they select to showcase the performances. If you've seen the movies, I always wonder, that's not necessarily the best clip. I would have chosen a different clip. They
Maybe
chose
they
the
work
most
with
TV
the actors
friendly.
and it's an actor's choice.
Yeah.
Oh, they
I'm
go
curious.
actor's choice.
I don't know.
on that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting behind the scenes on the production of this, 4-hour broadcast that makes it fascinating.
This is the first year in a long time that I'd seen the majority of the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, I still had not seen the majority of them, but I've seen enough of the movies this year. How awesome was it to watch Roger Deakins win? And how hilariously has he been zapped out of an Austin Powers movie?
14
4
nominations.
nominations, and then he went up and thanked everyone he's worked with.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing
That's
guy.
very cool.
Amazing guy. I heard this about Blade Runner and other films. He does not have a second unit.
It's all him.
He is there for every camera shot. He doesn't delegate that.
So typically a second unit does like exterior shots and stuff without the kind of main actors.
Yeah, when you see the
pickups.
plane taking off at the airport, that's a separate team that got up really early to go get that shot.
Yeah, I mean,
On Lord of the Rings, they had, I think, 4 and sometimes 5 units. And I know that Andy Serkis, for the Hobbit films, directed a lot of the ancillary film crews.
I mean, part of me says, yeah, that's awesome that he's watches the whole thing. The other part of me says, hey, that's a valuable spot for people who are coming up to get time on camera.
Yeah, totally. No, I
And,
mean that was the thing. Those, I can't remember if we talked about this on the podcast, but we've talked about it personally so much, is that on the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings, you can watch them having to watch 2 hours plus of dailies every single day from all the multiple camera departments. And the only one who could seem to stay awake till the end of every single session was Peter.
I mean, look, you know him better than we do, than I do, obviously. But I mean, he seems like he is just an unstoppable force, basically.
Absolutely. And Coco, Coco won Lee Unkrich and the Pixar folks got up. That was a lovely set of speeches for Coco's acceptance.
Won 2 awards and best song.
And best song too.
Yeah.
I mean, Coco in this year's best animated field was like, if it hadn't won, there would have been. It was a massive crime. I mean, I've seen all. Well, I didn't see the Becoming Vincent one, but I saw everything else.
You saw Boss Baby?
I saw. Oh, believe me, let me tell you, I've seen some Boss Baby. It's Alex Baldwin's finest role, so that's not true. No, it's like Coco. We watched Coco again this weekend, and it is an astounding film.
It's so good.
I think it's my favorite Pixar.
Hard to see through the last 20 minutes through the tears.
When he
movie
sings
is
to
like,
his
here's what's
grandmother,
going to happen. The movie goes, here's what's going to happen. I'm showing you the inside of the envelope. I'm revealing everything as we go. And you get there and you're like, I'm still surprised and moved way past what I expected.
well, there was a little bit of a twist in there.
No, there was in the beginning. Actually, in the first half, the movie led you to believe it was a totally different kind of movie.
Yeah.
I finally got around to seeing Black Panther. I have been so... There's been a lot of busyness in my personal life.
You went back and forth.
We'll have some announcements to make. I'll have some announcements to make later on this year about some projects that I've had on the burner that have been occupying a lot of my time. But suffice it to say, I have not been able to make it out to the damn movies until this weekend when we went and saw Black Panther at the Kabuki.
What'd you think? Was it good or
Unbelievable.
And you had gone into this movie cold.
What's that?
You had gone into it relatively cold.
We're playing around and doing some projects with Broken Nerd, a wonderful maker who I met on Twitter, and he's been doing some Black Panther cosplay props that he's 3D printing and finishing, doing great work on. Watching his videos of making Black Panther cosplay props is the only spoiler I allowed myself. I haven't seen a single trailer. I avoided all plot twists. I'd seen a couple of shots of Michael B. Jordan with his shirt off, because that seems to be inescapable on the web right now.
I mean, look,
But not that anyone's complaining. And holy cow, did I love that movie so much.
So I walked out of the theater, and it's one of, like, I don't often walk out of the theater and think, man, I would turn around and walk back right in and watch another showing of that. Had it not been the Friday after it opened, I would have turned right back around and gone right back into the next showing because it was exceptional.
Angela Bassett, by the way, seems to be using some alien technology to stay looking as badass as I can possibly imagine. She's a warrior. I loved the General. I loved Shuri. Chadwick Boseman was incredible. I'd read extensively about how they worked on a dialect that wasn't any specific African country, but that really was specific to Wakanda and getting everyone to speak that way. And at a certain point, my wife leans over and she's like, the accents are amazing. And they really were like super consistent.
Yeah, across all the characters.
Talk about world building.
Yeah.
That was one of the best examples of world building I've ever seen.
So I mean, that moment, the reveal...
coming through the forest.
Hold on, let's decide what we're going to talk about, and then we should have a spoiler.
I think it's been out long enough. We could spoil the crap out of this. Oh, you want to talk non-spoiler first?
I mean, we usually do, just in case, like, the 3 people that haven't seen it yet.
Sure.
Performances were great.
Yeah.
Emotionally resonant.
Score was fabulous.
Great world building. What else? Non-spoilery.
I mean, okay, we say the score is fabulous. The soundtrack album is incredible. I don't know, like...
Yeah, no, I haven't downloaded it yet, but that's the next thing.
Kendrick Lamar made an explicit album true to the film for this PG... Is it PG? PG-13? Yeah, like it's a fabulous album, and I'm shocked that they got Disney to sign off with putting this fairly explicit album out with a PG-13 movie that's clearly aimed at teenagers. But whatever, all good.
Yeah,
I mean, it seems like to me that Disney just said, "Hey, here's this character. Here are an incredibly talented team of actors and directors and production writers, the whole thing. Go make this film that you want to see." And then they kind of stayed out of their way.
It seems and feels and smells exactly like that. Like it is a complete vision that is joyful. It's dangerous. It's beautiful. You know, we've talked coming back from San Diego Comic-Con each year that there are touchstone films. A couple of years ago, there was so many rays from Force Awakens there. This year, I really think unequivocally San Diego Comic-Con is going to be the Black Panther Comic-Con.
Bunch of middle-aged white guys in Black Panther armor. It's just what everybody needs.
God, I hope not. I loved the range of costumes. I loved the range of iconography and masks and dress. And I mean, one of the things that's great about world building is what you understand, but also what you don't understand. And we've said this before, but I think that Spirited Away is probably the greatest example of this. This is a world with rules, and you're only going to ever learn like one tiny smidgen of them. But you can tell there's an internal consistency and depth, right?
And to give you a glimpse into that depth while not feeling superficial, and to show that there is more there, that I mean explicitly say it, that is difficult.
It's one of the things that actually is really interesting about Avatar. Like. It's a movie that nobody thinks about anymore.
Yeah.
12 years after it came out or whatever. But, you know, it was really clear when you saw the ships and all of the world that was set up around telling that relatively simple story that James Cameron and whoever else wrote the film had spent a lot of time thinking about how this works, what the economy of this is, you know, why people would come to this place and all that. And you get a lot of the same, like... So we want to get into spoilers because
let's do it.
Yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Okay.
Spoilers are happening now.
So the moment that they fly through the force field and see like Wakanda City, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh right, okay, this is not at all what I was expecting. This is there's something really different happening here. And I was really thrilled. Like it was an exciting moment. The theater gasped when I was in. They were like, and you don't get that in movies.
No. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. And I mean, even I'm 2.5 weeks behind. The audience clapped at the end of the screening I saw in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
You know, it's a joyful movie to watch, and it's like you said, I'm going to watch it many times. I'm really looking forward to sinking my teeth into all of that.
I mean, the film also has a juggle between this very entertaining popcorn film and a comic book film, and also being aware of its importance to its viewers, and the characters, and the people that the film represents. And it doesn't pull that gut punch. It intentionally has the gut punch at both the end of the film.
It doesn't make it subtext. It makes it directly text, and it feels honest and right. And
yeah. I mean, it opens up in Oakland, and then when they jump back to that flashback, and you realize it is Michael B. Jordan's character Killmonger looking up at the ship and running up, you know, into the apartment building, that is powerful. Yeah. And then how it goes back full circle to the very last scene, nails that landing.
Hold on, this very last scene. It's been a while since I saw it. The very last scene is when Killmonger.
It's in when they go back to Oakland.
Oh, right.
And the kid walks up to him, and says, "Who are you?" And when they reveal themselves not only to the world but to the kids there. Yeah. And it's the complete opposite of what his father did, which was to hide and shroud in secrecy.
And Julia turned to me and did when the kid says, "Who are you?" Julia said in her best, my wife, in her best, Robert Downey Jr., "I am Black Panther."
I mean, that's it's a riff on that.
Yeah,
it's a riff on the Batman. You know, at the end of Batman Dark Knight, right? It's a riff on all that trope of the superhero revealing the
self-actualization.
name, exactly. Yeah. But it's much more powerful because it's more about what the person asking the question sees in the character.
Yeah, and I love Marvel for getting out of the way of its own movies. That's what it feels like you're watching.
I mean, it seems like they're doing that more because Thor was kind of the same way. Thor
Ragnarok was a deeply New Zealand film in its sense of humor and play and folly. I mean, this is a movie with a bunch of jokes that don't feel at all like Hollywood-style jokes, and yet they totally scan and work.
I mean, if they cut across during one of the fight scenes and like Jermaine Clement's over there strumming a ukulele and singing, that would have been okay. I would have been okay with that. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know look, a lot of the stuff in Black Panther, I feel like I'm woefully under-equipped to discuss intelligently, and I don't think we need more.
I think the cultural implications of Black Panther have been covered extensively, and, it's also a great film, and that's the loveliest thing about the idea of this type of cultural normalization of bringing people closer together by giving them things to enjoy together.
Extremely efficient and competent in its action and its sequences. There's a great video that I think director Ryan Coogler did with Variety or Vanity Fair, where he maps out the casino scene, the fight scene in the casino, and it was one of the first scenes they shot. And it's a series on that YouTube channel where directors talk, and I think Taika Waititi did the same thing for Thor.
Okay.
They run through the sequence, and then they have screenshots of the sequence, and he literally draws with a pen and annotates what's going on.
Oh, that's great. I've been avoiding all that stuff, so I'm
Totally
psyched
should
to
watch
jump
it
in.
for Black Panther. And for this action sequence, which is just in the casino, where it's the three of them in the room, and then with Andy Serkis' character, and then when the fight breaks out, even the beats of that and their positioning and the colors that they're wearing, everything is so thoughtful.
You are never abandoned in the physical space. I've, the action of it. There
were a couple of moments in one of the car chases where you kind of lost when he gets chucked up in the air, and you're like, where'd he go? What's going on here? And then magically he ends up right in the right place.
I also want to point out how great a villain Andy Serkis is. He's terrifying.
He's the one-armed man, right?
Yeah.
That's not what I would have pictured Andy Serkis looking like.
Ulysses Claw.
You didn't realize. See, I've seen dozens of movies with Andy Serkis actually present in them.
So I realize that now, but also I didn't have any idea that was Andy Serkis, because he showed up first in what, Civil War or something, or
Age of
Winter
Ultron.
Soldier.
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Is he in just one?
He's in Age of Ultron when they mention that he stole the vibranium.
But isn't he also in Civil War?
I don't think he's in Civil War.
Oh, okay.
His arm gets cut off by Ultron, and he comes back and he has it on.
Comes back with the vibranium arm.
Yeah.
I like, it's one of the things that bums me out now is when you see a character, like an actor gets their one shot at the MCU, whoever makes the movie whiffs it, and you end up with a amazing like the example of Michael Keaton as Vulture in Spider-Man was fine. But like you could do a lot more with Michael Keaton than a one-off bad guy.
I thought it was great.
I don't feel like there were any one-off bad guys. Nobody was one-off wasted. All of the characters were good.
No.
Like, Killmonger is my favorite Marvel villain with my least favorite Marvel villain name.
It's such a good character. Such a great portrayal. Such a really good character, and such an intense and incredible death scene.
Oh yeah.
Like I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's really good.
Also, going back to the Academy Awards, I want to now see a movie with Gal Gadot and Armie Hammer in it, simply because those two are so pretty.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We were talking about the extreme beauty of a bunch of the. Well, I mean that's really.
Hollywood will find a way.
Anytime you cut to a movie theater filled with normal people during the Oscars, you're like, oh right, this is why these people are movie stars.
That bit was weird.
Yeah.
That bit's always weird. They did it before, didn't they?
The Proles is a weird thing.
So one of the Ellen years, they tromped a bunch of people through stage that thought they were on a tour of the Kodak Center or something. Yeah.
Same thing. Same bit last year.
Yeah. So I this is completely off topic. I want to shout out. I finally watched Justice League, which is not a good movie in a lot of really important ways, but it was fun.
Okay.
The score on Justice League that Danny Elfman did is exceptional.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
What?
Oh, I loved that it pulled it. Like, he went through and pulled in everything from like the original Batman
that was
theme.
Cool. I think that he was unabashed about the fact that even though it's not within the same continuity, you can pull a John Williams theme and put it in a Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah, he's like, this is the Superman song,
Yeah,
and he used the original John Williams
Right.
theme. He used like, and the thing that amazed me is that the Wonder Woman theme, which is excellent, the Danny Elfman Batman theme, which is excellent, and the John Williams Superman theme, which is iconic.
Yeah.
All work together,
amazing,
in the context of this film.
Okay,
and I thought it was lovely.
Speaking of Wonder Woman, you have a sword there. And this is something we can tease if you're watching the video. Adam's been working on this sword. Now, you didn't build this from scratch.
No. This is from a Big Bad Toy Store.
Yeah, Factory Entertainment.
Factory Entertainment makes an all-metal God Killer sword, and this is it. The blade is, in terms of accuracy, terrific. The symbols and the etching is pretty darn great. The handle is cast zinc alloy, like a lot of handles from metal movie props.
So it has the right weight?
It does. It has a good weight and a good balance, but at the mold lines of the casting, a lot of detail is lost. And inspired by a video I tweeted earlier this week of an incredible master engraver hand engraving incredible designs into the watch band of a Rolex. And then it turns out there's hundreds of hours on YouTube of people engraving stuff. I started to get really into carefully filing. And so I've been mostly with hand files, restoring this handle back to looking as good as it can, and I actually think I'm going to have this plated.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to take it out to there's a lot of jewelry places here in San Francisco, and have it gold plated to make it extra awesome.
And that's the thing with like prop replicas like these, because they're high end, they're several $100s, sometimes they're limited edition. When you read the description on their website, I think everything has to be read with a little grain of salt, because they say, designed with access to the original prop, but that can mean so many things, right? Did they get the original files? Were they given just photos of it? How accurate? And that doesn't tell you whether their manufacturing process, all the seam lines that you got rid of in this replica, were they in the original prop?
Look, I mean, the simplest logical case to make for how hard it is that master replicas repeatedly had access to original props and still managed to regularly piss off their fans for getting large details wrong. And by wrong, I mean they might have had one detail from one movie on a prop that was in the wrong movie of the franchise, because that happens when you go into the archives. Often the people managing these archives don't know as much as your base level obsessed fan like me or you.
Right, and as a licensee, the people who pay money to get the rights to make these replicas, they don't always get all the access, because the licensor doesn't care. They got the money, and they'll sign off on something, and they have those words, authentic, like a certificate of authenticity, but that may not be enough. So I love the idea that you're taking something that you've paid several $100s for, and then basically taking it apart.
Yep.
And rebuilding it.
And so we'll show my results when we're all done. This is not one we're covering on camera because it's probably going to take me dozens of hours of work over many days to do this. So it's just sitting on my bench with some files near it, and every time I have an extra 30 minutes, I kind of work on it for a bit.
Do you find that kind of work to be a little meditative?
Oh, it's entirely meditative. I no longer at this point in my life mind looking at a project like this where I'm not even sure how long it's going to take or how I'm going to finish it. No. From being obsessed with the engraving video, but also specifically ClickSpring. I've mentioned ClickSpring on the podcast. Holy cow, go watch ClickSpring. This is a guy who does everything out of a shop that is maybe 300 square feet, and a lot of his work is so carefully hand filing with really good lighting and good vice work. That's gotten me into doing exactly this kind of thing and being like, with files, I can't make an unrecoverable mistake like I can with a Dremel. So I can just sit there and slowly look at it from every angle and just make sure it's right.
It makes a ton of sense. You can muck something up in about 0.3 of a second with a Dremel.
Right. And so I'm now, I did some Dremel work on this today to kind of play around with one of the dragon heads, and I put it on one of its lowest settings so I could just sit there and really have the gentle control.
Do you ever vice the Dremel and go the other way? That was a thing somebody showed me once. Is you put the Dremel in a bench vise, and then you can kind of come at the blade from the side.
It seems
a little dangerous.
Yeah. I haven't tried that. I am interested in the engraving video of the watch. It's clear that the watch is clamped into a special jeweler's vise that holds it, and I actually bought one. But this one specifically turns, so the engraver has his or her two hands on the work, but they're turning the work into the chisel, not the other way around.
So you have to only maintain the pressure.
Yeah, and so I'm curious what that rig looks like. And I went and looked for engraver's vise, engraver's work setup. I'm sure somebody listening will post where I could see this. But it's almost like they've got some sort of potter's wheel type thing. They're moving with their feet, but it's really heavy and holds this thing rigidly.
But you get mechanical assistance and precision.
That's what it looks like.
It seems
to me.
like you could do like a friction clamp where you just push your foot down to release it and turn and then let up or something like that.
But they're also doing it while they're moving, and maybe maybe he or she has a handle over here and they're doing it. But I feel. I'm curious to see a little bit a wider shot of that setup.
Cool.
Speaking of commenting within the comments, I just want to thank the tested community, those who agree with what we talked about last week about gun control, but especially those who don't agree with us, who took the time to contribute to the conversation. I thought everybody in the comments comported themselves really respectfully and understood our goal to try and create a dialogue. I was incredibly gratified by the response on our site, on Facebook, on Twitter about our podcast last week.
I saw you middle of last week and you were like, hey, the comments on that were really good. I was like, wait, what? Really?
I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah. I think it's a fine place to wrap it up.
A couple shout outs. We are about 1 month away from our first convention we're going to this year, which is Silicon Valley Comic Con here in the Bay Area. It's in San Jose. So if you are in Bay Area or in California, it's not that far of a drive. You can come see us there. We'll probably be doing a podcast. There'll probably be an incognito of some kind.
Are you setting up a booth again this year?
We'll probably be doing a space this year.
Okay.
So come by and say hi. If you just Google Silicon Valley Comic Con, you can find a lot of information.
Good con. It's a fun con. We've done it the last 2 years in a row, and it's been great.
We're in final testing of the Nanomachines episode of the Foo Show. And at the same time, we're almost done with the episode that the three of us recorded a a few weeks ago.
Oh, fabulous.
With your props from the 2016 tested live show.
That's right.
Yeah, the stuff that we scanned.
Yeah.
We built a fake, not at all like this, but kind of somewhat inspired by this version of the
somewhat
cave.
familiar.
And those will both be out real soon. The Nanomachines episode will be out this week, I think. We're final testing on that.
Very cool. All right. Thanks for watching.
Thanks,
we'll see you
everybody.
next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Once again, we want to thank the sponsor of this week's episode, and that's Google's Cloud Platform. What can your data tell you? With Google Cloud Platform, use machine learning at scale to build better products. It predicts so your business can thrive. Learn more about Google's Cloud Platform at g.co/getcloudai. Once again, that's g.co/getcloudai. We'll see you next week.